Hey guys, welcome to this week's lesson segment on Weekly Outdoor Plus. Hintz here with you again. Going to go over, last week we went over a lot of walk back tuning, and I'm going to work my way up here to group tuning. It's just going to be kind of bare and open, but before we're going to ever walk back or group tune, which is shooting at different distances, basically making your group tighter by adjusting, basically spining your arrow for your bow is what you're doing in the long run. What we're going to be going over is how to select the correct shaft so that no matter what you're shooting, you're going to have the right spine in your arrow to be able to shoot as accurately as you possibly can. The more proficient that your equipment is, the better you're going to be in the long run. So a lot of people, first of all, I'm going to clear up, a lot of people think that depending on the size of the shaft, whether it's really fat or really skinny or like an average hunting arrow, that is going to make a difference. Honestly, it makes zero difference on the spine of the arrow. The spine is actually, when you see every single one of them, is going to end up having a number on them. Most of these here in front of me are 250s, which is a Carbon Express term. Carbon Express mostly measures theirs in like 150, 250, 350, 450, and that's just basically telling you the spine of your arrow. The 250 is going to be like what you'd shoot for like a 60-pound bull. The thing you got to think about is when you're selecting your shaft is, first of all, what weight you're going to be shooting. And then another thing, if you don't have like the, more common like 28 to 30 inch draw, you're gonna have to also think about how much speed you're gonna be pushing on your bow and how much your draw length is, so you know how short your arrows are gonna be cut, because the shorter they're cut, obviously they're gonna be a lot stiffer. An easy way to do this to kind of get a ballpark is, say your draw length, for example, mine's 29 inches and I'm gonna be shooting 60 pounds when I'm shooting outdoors. So I would go with a 250 if I was going Carbon Express. A lot of the people measure different. If you're going gold tip, they're gonna be in the thousandths, your numbers. And then if you're gonna be going with like Easton, you're gonna be looking at like 100, 200, 300, that kind of thing. Not in the 50s, but in the hundreds. But it's the exact same type of measurement styles. If you have any questions on that, you can either look it up online, or the back of all the boxes will tell you. Or the thing that we do at our shop that really will help you out in the long run is if it's a program called Archer's Advantage. And what it does is you can type in all of your bow equipment and it'll tell you basically, I'm going to shoot 60 pounds, I got this draw length. It'll actually go as in depth of what cams you have on what bow you have, on what limbs you have. And doing that will actually get the torque that's actually going to come out of your bow as well. And you can set up your arrow on there then and see where it will be on the stiffness chart basically. The biggest key, in my opinion, is you do not want to be too weak. You'd rather be a little stiffer than, too weak, but you'd rather be right on if you can. And that's where walk back, or the group tuning we're going to be doing next week, is going to also help make it exact instead of extremely close. So what I do every single year is, I go on the internet basically. The first thing I do, and for me, my outdoor arrows, you can fit it inside of this average 250. You can fit it inside of it and not even touch the walls. That's how small my arrow is. A lot of people wonder why. That's just because of wind resistance basically is the only reason. Because even shooting outdoor 3D, I'd rather not get hit with the wind to make a good shot than worry about making a bad shot and barely catching a line with a fat shaft. Because the skinnier ones I can actually shoot better groups out of my bow. So what I'm doing is we're gonna figure out, say you only have screw-in tips, you're gonna be putting 100 grain tips in there. That's your only option. Well, then you're gonna have to figure out how long to cut your arrow. A lot of people go, oh, I shoot a 29 inch draw, so I'm going to cut it down to 27 3/4 so I can get the most speed out of it. But the shorter you cut it, again, you're going to be making it stiffer, and it's not going to flex like you need it to, and it's not going to be making the exact shot that you're making or as tight a groups as you can. And as we all know, especially summertime, most people go outside and start shooting farther. Not be shooting your 20 to 40 yards, you'll be shooting 50, 60, 70 just to practice. And again, that's going to help you out a lot in the long run, but it's not going to be very encouraging if you don't have very tight groups. So say you have 100 grain tip is no matter what, if you get glue in, sometimes you can get any different weight you could possibly want. But say you're going to throw 85 grains in the front, because then you can make a little bit lighter arrow, but that's also going to make it, the lighter the tip in the front, your arrow's going to be stiffer because it doesn't have as much off balance weight making it flex out of the bow. So if you're shooting like a 85 grain tip in the front, you need to leave your arrow a little bit longer. Where a 100 grain tip, you can cut it, maybe right to your draw length. And then if you go 125 grain tip, again, you can get it a little more front of center weight, but then you're gonna have to cut your arrow really short to make it not too flexible. So all these little things will make a big difference. And the easiest way, honestly, to do it is by putting it on Archer's Advantage and putting in your setup for you and then deciding what arrows you need. Even for hunting, this is not a bad idea to make sure you're not buried into the weak side or buried into the stiff side, because again, it's not going to help you out at all. So next week we're going to go over walk bag tuning, or group tuning, and it's just basically turning your pounds up on your bow and taking different shots at different pieces of paper to see what's going to actually tighten your group up, which is again just figuring out the spine of your arrow to make it not too stiff or not too weak, so that you're going to have a little bit bigger group because it's not flexing exactly like you want it to. So tune in next week. We're going to go over how to do that, hopefully outside if we have nice weather. We'll be shooting a little bit longer distance and have some fun, and we'll see how it goes. If you have any questions, again, stop into Bucks and Bulls. We have the program on there on hand. I mean, it'll take you 5 to 10 minutes to get your full setup and know exactly what arrows. It'll suggest different arrow brands, different arrow sizes. You want a fat arrow, it'll tell you exactly which one will go good for you. You want a really, really, really skinny arrow, it'll tell you exactly which one. Anything is, sky's the limit as long as you know how to set it up correctly. And that's where we'll be more than happy to help you. And if you have any questions, feel free to call or stop on in. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week and we'll do some group tuning.